You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
And we're back with Tony Rathman, who is just an amazing guest. We're having so much fun tonight on Paranormal Experience. And if you've been missing these EVPs, you're going to have to catch the archives on iHeart and iTunes, because this is amazing. So, Tony, we were talking about how you were able to put these spirits at ease and that nothing really was alarming you except...
Yeah, except for one. And it wasn't the night that we were there investigating. It was later on when we were, and this was the middle of the afternoon, we were walking the building to do the filming. And as we're looking at different areas, my wife was actually standing behind me, and she was filming. It was just with her cell phone, but she was filming, and I could literally hear this EVP with my own ears. And I turned to her and I said, "Hey, did you hear that?" And I don't think she did at the time. And then I remember pointing again because they were talking, but I was trying not to say anything. And there's this EVP that comes on that says, "I don't like you." And he said something else in between. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. But then at the end, he said he threatened me, and I have not had a chance to figure out which one that is and what I can do to calm him down. But it was an amazing capture, because when we went back and we played her video, you can hear everything he said as I'm saying, "Did you hear that?" Oh, right there, he's talking. It's incredible.
That is incredible. Did you feel like you were being threatened, or like there was a presence with that attitude while you were sitting there?
Yeah, you could definitely feel the presence. I didn't feel threatened. It wasn't until after that we replayed the recording that I could hear what he actually said. And I was a little shocked because it was a direct threat, but nothing has happened. And I have not had an opportunity to go back in there and try to figure out, what they're upset about or what this one is upset about. And that's definitely in my future plans to, try to figure out why this one may be angry and what we can do to maybe not make him angry anymore.
Well, it may just be that you are you strike me as a very gentle person, but you are a very strong personality. And it may be that he thinks he's the alpha and he just doesn't want anybody to be mistaken about that. What?
Well, and that very well could be the case. And like I said, after having complete authority over the last 38 years of the building, yeah, I'm sure our presence and the present investigators coming has an impact on him, no doubt about it. And I'm sure it's partially that fight for authority, and who and of course we don't want those fights.
Well, of course
but
not.
We'll when I get back in there, obviously that's one of the things on my to-do list, is to try to get this spirit to communicate and maybe share a little more information about what he's upset about, and take it from there, because we have had this happen before and we were able to work it out, and so we'll see what happens.
Well, sometimes all it takes is just a good conversation, right? I mean, just
absolutely
clearing the air. In chat, we have a comment that says, he's probably territorial and protective. Like you said, he's been the only, maybe he's been the only alpha male in there for all this time.
And that could easily be the case. And of course, we're very respectful of that. And and like you said, it usually comes to communication. And although it's not like talking to another person where you can have direct we do get enough feedback usually when we're speaking to be able to know whether we've changed the attitude or changed the impact or the feelings associated with it. So hoping to be able to do the same thing with this one.
I hope so too, because it's just, I think that's an important thing. And on that note, I was going to ask you before the break, but you said that Ghost Adventures had been in there. And
they were, yep.
I know that Zach has a certain time frame, and but he works within trying to get evidence by being a little provocative on occasion, and which is interesting because I've seen him be like that with, adult or difficult spirits, and I've seen him be very charming with child spirits. So he does react according to his situation. How was he when he was at the research center?
He did a good job. The coincidence between when Zach was there and there was a part of that, it was called the Old Phelps Dodge Hospital, and there was a section in that show where Zach recorded an EVP, and Aaron said, I want to kill Zach. And it was so funny because when I had the recording of the spirit, that's exactly what he said to me. He said, I'm going to kill you. And when was not even thinking about Zach's show that he shot in there. But when we went back and we double played both what he recorded and what I recorded, there's some very similarities in the tone of voice. And his to me, clearly, I heard exactly what Aaron heard.
Right.
And then when I had my own saying the same thing, I'm like, okay, this very well could be the same spirit.
Reacting the same way to the strong male personality. That's interesting.
Exactly. Right.
Because he is a fairly strong
Jack did a really
personality.
good job. Oh, very much so, yes. I mean, he did a good job, and like you said, they're limited on time, and their schedules are constrained. But he gave a brief history of the building, and most of it is accurate, and so I commend him on the work that he did in there. And but I can tell you there is a lot more going on than what he had time to research.
Well, I'm working on trying to get through his people to get an interview. I think that would be one of my favorite people to talk to because he's controversial, but he's kind. And
right.
I think that the kind would win out over the controversial because everybody either loves him or hates him. There's not any middle ground. I kind of do take the middle ground.
That's very true.
I am not fond often of how he approaches spirits, but I do know he has time constraints and he's trying to get stuff done. But I also know that they adopted a dog in the middle of a shoot, right? So, because he sent it home with Billy. Somebody's taking this dog home.
I do remember seeing that.
And I know that he stopped shoots to meet people and, so that the fans can have their time with him too. And I know it's just because, if you get this taken care of, then you can get back to work, but you need to take care of the ones that brought you, right? And he knows that. So,
right.
I know that other locations he's been awesome.
Yeah, and he shows that kind. He shows that kind personality in many situations. Mm-hmm. And you're right; it's difficult when you're shooting a television show because as a paranormal investigator. I mean, doing television alone changes the outcome of what you're trying to achieve. I mean, television has one goal, and that's to entertain. So yes. the true necessity of doing paranormal investigation sometimes takes a back seat to that. And he knows that, I'm sure, after doing it for 13, 14 years, however long he's been doing it. But you're right. He has that kind side of him, and that's been shown in many things, like you said, the dog being adopted, other situations where he's interacting with people and fans. So I mean, I give him a lot of credit for what he does.
I mean, he's not always kicking the door in and taking names. He's very gentle sometimes, and people forget that. So
Very true. Very true.
I tend to forget it myself sometimes when he does something, and I'm just like, oh, I would never do that. What are you know? And then I'm like, television, trying to get it done. Don't be judgy.
Right. Exactly.
So not
Yeah,
not my chair, right? So
yeah, it's a struggle for him, I'm sure, each time, but I definitely give him credit for what he's accomplished.
yes. Well, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but yeah, I just wanted to know how he had interacted with your spirits. I'm glad that it was that it was a good experience, and I find it bizarre that he got the same response you did.
Well, and I didn't even recognize it at first. Somebody else pointed it out to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. Friend of mine pointed out to me and said, that's the exact statement that was said, and I'm like, oh wow, you're absolutely correct. It was.
Yeah, I wouldn't be cool with the spirit saying they wanted to kill me, because
it's not.
Go ahead.
It's not the most comfortable feeling.
Well, and I was in an environment where I was actually concerned that my equipment was going to be damaged because they were banging on things that, you could hear the banging, but the objects weren't moving that they were banging on. And I just felt like, but they do move things when they take a notion.
They certainly.
So I was kind of like, oh, maybe not here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah. What is the most odd investigation experience you've had? Because you don't just do EVPs, you do full-blown investigations, and that's actually a question from our chat.
Yeah, sometimes it's great to go to the historic sites, the buildings with reputations for being haunted, but sometimes, and I can't go into complete detail here, but it's sometimes the personal investigations, the home investigations that we do that bring out some of the craziest stuff we've ever seen. In fact, and like I said, I can't go into detail, but there's one that we're dealing with, the last one we did and the current one that we're getting into, the backgrounds, the evidence, and the things that show up, that's where the true uniqueness and sometimes the scariest things come out. And so like I said, I can't go into detail because they are personal investigations, but those are usually the ones that are the most rattling as far as being scary and unsettling. But I think our building will give it a good run as well.
Well, we are just about to the top of the hour. This time is going so quickly. We are going to be taking a 5-minute break, believe it or not. And this is a great time to stretch your legs, throw a few cartwheels, do what you need to do. And we'll be back. We have more EVPs. Tony has more stories.